They pay a lot of money for rent. They pay a lot of money to their team. They spent years building it up, but this client cut corners. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Conscious Counsel podcast with your host, Cory Sterling. That's me. As always, my promise in recording this podcast is to help you protect and grow your wellness business with confidence and clarity. In this week's episode, I'm talking about why you should not use templated agreements. And do I have a story for you? Boy, oh boy. In some ways, I wish I didn't have all these stories for you because it would mean that people weren't going through these problems. But on the other hand, my whole job is to resolve these problems for people. That being said, there are a lot of silly and simple mistakes that some health and wellness professional entrepreneurs make that I can teach you not to make and tell you the story because you're in your world, you're with your family, you're with your community, you're doing everything you love doing. And I love that for you. And also there are some really, really important legal things that you need to know as a health and wellness entrepreneur running your own business. So the essence of this week's topic is just why you should not buy a templated agreement or have ChatGPT draw something up simple for you. And now I'm going to tell you a story and you're not going to believe it. The answer why you don't want to do this, very simply put, is A, you want to understand your agreements. So when you use a template or someone gives you a contract that you just use, you don't know what's in there. You don't know what you're signing. And in the event that you actually need to use the agreement, you'll have no way to navigate it because it's like wearing someone else's shoes. You can put them on your feet, but the moment that you actually need the thing to fit the solution that you're looking for, it won't be there. The first reason why you shouldn't use templates is it's not specific. The second reason is you don't understand it and there's no one to explain it to you. And thirdly, when you need to use the agreement, it will come in handy. And I'm going through a situation with a client now who's paying me a lot of money that if they just invested in our services up front, then the whole situation would be resolved and would be much simpler. I understand why it makes sense to use ChatGPT or to use templates for documents. If we're talking about templates or getting from a friend, like easy, it's already there. Cool. I don't have to pay. I just got out of paying thousands of dollars because this person's going to let me use their agreement and they're pretty good at business. So if this contract good enough for them, then it's good enough for me. Cool. I get the reasoning. I get the logic. You don't know anything of what's in that agreement and you don't know where they got the agreement from, how it relates to their business. Every agreement should be customized specifically to what you're doing and the relationships that you want to have. When it comes to ChatGPT, there was a situation, the episode's not about this, but I went through a situation last week with a client who was using their own ChatGPT documents, got into an issue, hired me. I said, hey, send me a copy of the signed agreement, the signed contract. And I looked at it and I'm like, you're in trouble because your legal position is defined by this agreement that you have. And so you want to make sure that you have something specific. So now for the story about templates and ChatGPT that I'm currently going through. I have a client who runs a studio. There are a lot of moving pieces to running a studio. They pay a lot of money for rent. They pay a lot of money to their team. They spent years building it up. They've put so much time, energy, and money that they deserve to have legal agreements that reflect the relationships they want to have and that protect them from issues that can happen. But this client cut corners. And this client said, oh, okay, well, when it comes to the relationship between me and my business partner, the owners of the business, we'll just use a template and we'll just be okay with that. So that's what they did. And they're going along in the business. Now they're in year 6. Up until year 4, everything was fine. The business partner ended up getting divorced, which changed the dynamic of the amount of time and money they could put into the business, and the relationship begins to deteriorate. And now at this point, my client comes to me and is in a position where she says, hey, I want to get out of this business partnership. Like, I'm doing everything. I'm sharing everything with this person. They're not doing anything. What are the rules? How can I buy this person out? How can I keep them out? How can I keep my branding? How can I do all of these things? And as always, I had the same response. And my response is, send me a copy of the signed agreement. To which my client, she told me, she's like, you're not going to like this, but we ended up getting this agreement from LegalZoom. It's a template. We just signed it because we were eager to get the business to launch. and I'm not sure what's in there. And I was like, cool, all good. Client signed up to be a Conscious Counsel Plus member, so now I can spend as much time as I need on the file to support them. I'm looking through the agreement and it's terrible. And there's nothing specific to the relationship my client wanted to have with the other owners of the business. There's nothing reflecting the way that the business actually operates and the roles and responsibilities of what each of the partners do. And there's no way to really resolve the issues that are coming up in a way that will be favorable to my client. And I had a meeting with her and I was like, look, this is the situation. If we try to resolve everything by virtue of the agreement, this is how it'll end. And that ending is not favorable for my client, and my client will not be happy with it. So now, just so everyone knows, as a lawyer, how you have to resolve it, if you're trying to resolve a situation, if you have a contract that is bad for both people, or at least bad for one party or bad for you, the only way to get out of the situation is to come to a different agreement with the person, to say, hey, we've signed this agreement, but we both agree that even though this agreement is here, we'll come up with a new deal that's going to replace that. And, we'll forfeit rights that we otherwise would have in exchange for this new deal. This new deal will cost my client between $50,000 to $100,000 more than if they had the original operating agreement done properly, customized specific to the relationships they wanted to have. This is real. This stuff happens. You cut corners, you use a template, you use ChatGPT, you don't really understand the legal nuances. And when a problem comes up, not only are you going to pay 10, 15 times more than you would otherwise, you're also not going to be having fun. And you're going to have to be talking to me, and I'm going to try to be as positive and happy of a person as I can be, because that's who I am. But you're going to be in a bad mood. It's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel like pressure. It's going to feel like stress. And it's like the other side of that is investing in legal documents upfront and drafting documents that reflect the relationships you want to have with your business partners, with your clients, with your employees, with your contractors, with whoever it is. And this situation for me, it's just like I get on and I scratch my head and I say, firstly, I'm here to support you. I'm going to help you negotiate a deal. We're going to do the best thing that we can possibly do. And I'm here for you. But in the same line, I'm just like, look, you have to do things properly moving forward. And they know, and they're going to have to pay. And now there's so much uncertainty around the situation where it's like, if we were able to have drafted a membership agreement, an operating agreement for the members of the LLC together, or a shareholder agreement if it was a Canadian company, hey, this is what happens. If someone's not pulling their weight, this is what happens. If someone wants to buy the other person out, this is what happens. If someone wants to leave, this is what happens. You want the contract to be able to resolve all of the issues so that emotional space does not get filled. And I'm going through it right now. I'm going through it with a client, and we're trying our best, and it will end. There will be some sort of resolution at the end, but it will be very expensive. It'll be expensive and it won't be fun. So I just think it's really, really important that everyone knows this, that I understand the temptation to use ChatGPT for agreements. I understand the temptation to use a template. What you want are really three things when you're drafting an agreement. A, you want it to be industry specific to the type of business that you operate. If it's a retreat, if you're a yoga studio, if you're a gym, if you're a Pilates studio, if you're a coach of any form, all of those agreements have unique, specific provisions that need to be included. The second thing is it has to be specific to the relationship that you want to have. Who's getting paid, when they're getting paid, how much they're getting paid, what happens if someone doesn't do something, what happens if someone does do something, what if someone wants to leave, what if someone wants to stay, what if someone gets hit by a bus, what if, you decide, hey, this is the relationship I want to have in this business. And the third thing that you need is to work with a lawyer and a legal team that cares and understands what you're doing and has been through this before and has resolved these types of issues before, because this is the reality. You going into it, you don't know what legal pitfalls are in front of you. The whole breadth of our practice is supporting clients, and we just do the same things over and over again. So each week I become more competent and have more experience as a lawyer because I've seen different types of situations and I've helped clients. So in summary, for this week's episode, do not use ChatGPT or templates, because when you need to control a situation legally, you will want specific agreements that you understand, drafted in relation to your industry by lawyers who understand what you're going through. Really, really simple. Don't cut the corner. Invest in your business. And the last point to me that's just so mind-boggling about this situation that I'm going through with my client is like they pay so much money in rent. They pay so much money in payroll. You invest in so many other areas of the business. You need your contracts to protect you in the event that you have to use them. That's what we do here at Conscious Counsel. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, shoot us a note on Instagram. Just look us up at Conscious Counsel and say hi. And remember, whatever it is that you do, make sure you work with a lawyer who loves you. Peace.